there's a couple of actors from The Chosen who are in Best Christmas Pageant Ever. And they're like, is it possible for you to do something where we're just comfortable? Like, we're either in 110-degree heat in the middle of July out in the desert, or we're in Winnipeg, Canada, where we can't even feel our lips as we talk because it's so cold.
The pageant is sacred.
Special mention to Grace for volunteering to direct the pageant.
But this year, the Herdmans changed everything.
Now.
Dallas, how is it going from, the desert or, the desert set to the snow set now, to the snow?
Yeah, it's funny. When I have, there's a couple of actors from The Chosen who are in Best Christmas Pageant Ever. And they're like, is it possible for you to do something where we're just comfortable? Like, we're either in 110-degree heat in the middle of July out in the desert, or we're in Winnipeg, Canada, where we can't even feel our lips as we talk because it's so cold. It seems to be the common thread, but it was worth it because I think the look of the film demanded a Christmas setting, a winter setting, and we got some snow, we got some cold. You can see the breath coming out of people's mouths while they're talking, and I think that lended some authenticity to a story that deserved that.
Oh, it did. I loved the location. I was like, this is such a cute town. And I thought that this was such a great movie to talk about, the meaning of it all, right? Because the town wants the pageant to go one way, but the real meaning of it all. But could you guys talk about, how it's deeper than just the pageant?
Yeah, no, it definitely is. Actually, what I'm most proud of is Ted. I can't wait for him to tell me, you did it. You made a movie for everybody. Because that is what the best Christmas pageant is, whether you're 4, 5, 6, or 40, 50, 60, 70, whatever. This movie is absolutely for everybody. It's for families, and it's to celebrate the Christmas experience, see the nativity story in a way we've never witnessed it before, with all the laughs and the feel-good vibes, but also the emotional moments, which I think are probably going to surprise people, because as you know, Abby, it's hard to have laughter and tears and emotion all crammed together in one movie, but Dallas did a great job in kind of bringing those story elements in a way that it is very good.
And I feel like the town had to learn from the Herdmans, and even I know, we don't want to say what happened, but even the hardest hearts can kind of change. And so Dallas, can you talk about how the town had to learn from them too?
Yeah, that's what I love about this story. When I read the book 20 years ago to my kids, and we were laughing but then also crying, the thing that was so unique about the story and that I knew I had to bring to the screen was that, yes, on the surface, it's a comedy, it's a Christmas classic. These kids from the wrong side of town who've never even heard the Christmas story before hijack the Christmas pageant, and everyone's horrified. And you assume that it's going to be the worst Christmas pageant ever because these kids who don't know the story are taking over. And yet you realize, yes, the kids need the Jesus story. They hadn't heard it before, and now they have, and it's going to impact them. But the town and the church needed something too. And sometimes we, in our American evangelical world, in our suburban world, can sometimes take the story for granted. And sometimes we look down on certain people, and you realize, you know what? Those folks that we're looking down on, or who are outsiders, might actually be closer to the heart of the true story of the birth of Christ than we are. Because who can identify more with poverty and with being an outsider than Jesus and with Mary and Joseph? And so that message and the way that story is told in the book, and I hope I translated it in the movie, is, I think, such a great message. And it also shows you that anyone who goes to see this movie, whether you're a traditional churchgoer or not, can appreciate that and hopefully come away with maybe a deeper understanding of the birth of Christ.
What would you guys specifically want to say to the Movieguide audience? Because, we're big supporters on both of your guys' projects that you've done. So is there something you'd specifically want to say to us?
No, look, our goal is to literally make family-friendly fare that is accessible to everybody. And so I think we've done that with the best Christmas pageant ever, with a book that's been around since 1972, or at least the story since 1972. And one that studios have tried to adapt, but it took this guy to be able to pull it off. And obviously our partnership with Lionsgate, they were very enthusiastic about what this story could do. It's been a while since we've had a theatrical evergreen Christmas classic. I'm biased, but in my opinion, I think this is going to be one of those.
Well, specifically to Movie Guide, one of the things that you and your father have been talking about for decades is it's not about separating church from Hollywood. He's never been about, all right, Hollywood bad, church good, and so let's create our own new mini Hollywood. He's always been trying to point people towards any movie that's going to uplift or to honor or to point people towards God, even if it's not a typical faith-based film. I feel like this movie, and I'm saying this as a moviegoer, not just the filmmaker, I feel like this is one of the first movies that I've seen over the course of my lifetime that really does bridge that gap. It really does feel like a traditional Hollywood film that you can see in theaters, and yet in it and strongly in it is this very explicit message about the birth of Christ. And so I think it's unique in that way, and I think that Movie Guide viewers are especially going to appreciate it.
I thought this was such a cute, fun movie. And one of the things that I did like was the parents. And I thought that they were so supportive of trying to make this pageant work. Can you, talk about that and your character? And
For sure. I'm so with you. Something that I never tire of seeing in movies is understanding parents, that like each other. Like that's my kind of Hollywood. And that's not to say that my parents didn't have wonderful moments. Of course they did. But when I can see a movie where the family is like vibing and grooving, that's almost worth the price of admission right there. Is I'm like, oh, look, this guy is sort of teasing his wife, but also supporting her. And you can see that they like each other. That's pretty essential for a good Christmas movie for me.
yeah, I loved that. And I thought you were you had a lot of the good jokes in
I
there.
appreciate it. You can say all of them. That's okay. I won't that you said all of them. In fact, I tweet that you said that.
So what was, had you read the book? Like, what was it that really kind of enticed you about this movie?
I mean, I wish I had a better story. I didn't grow up with this book. I read the script first, and it did make me cry. I was very touched by it. And then it had a lot to do with Judy Greer, to be honest. It might be better for the press of the movie if I could tell you that I read this book every Christmas since I was 7 years old or whatever. But really, the true draw to it was who's funnier than Judy Greer, who's more likable. She's like a national treasure. I feel like she should be in everything. And then I got the privilege, and I'm not just saying this, I really don't want this to sound canned. I got the privilege of watching her act, and getting to see. I'm a comedian who acts. She's an actor. Like, she does it. And I was like, this is like a master class. I get to learn and laugh and watch someone I really admire.
These families really they kind of had to learn something from bringing in the Herdmans into this. So what did you feel like they had to learn?
Well, honestly, all stories that resonate seem to be telling a similar story. Like, I'm not who I think I am. I'm actually very valuable. I'm actually very special. I'm actually, chosen and loved. And that's what's going on in this movie as well, is the Herdmans seem like outliers. They don't have social graces. They're not accepted. They're not in the fold. And it's very tempting in life to confuse love with being clean or having money or having a car or nice white teeth. And that has nothing to do with any of it. The message is always the same. Given a chance and given a closer look, you are the star of a pageant.
I love that. And I have little ones, I've got 3 little ones. And so
wow.
I love those type of messages because it's good to show them, like, don't judge a book by the appearance, even if graphic design is great, but
yeah.
I love
That's
them.
right. Well, don't judge a book by its cover going both ways. Sometimes it has a gnarled cover and you assume that it's not worth your time. Sometimes it has a flashy cover and you think that's got to be where it's at. And both of those are usually wrong. It deserves a closer and more considerate look.
It's going to be the best Christmas pageant ever.
If you enjoy videos that follow your values like ours and you want to help us continue, go to movieguide.org/donate because we're actually a nonprofit. You may not know that, but we're working in Hollywood every day to help families have more choices that follows their values. And also subscribe right now.